Welcome to the Blind Apex Podcast, where amateur club racers tune in to get faster.
I'm your host, Con Jonturk, and on this episode of the Blind Apex Podcast, we're going to talk about becoming an instructor and what it personally takes to be a good one. Joining me is an instructor mentor with NASA Northeast, king of the rattle can paint jobs, still the cheapest man in motorsports, Dillion, aka EJ2 Track Rat. Welcome back to the show, bud.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, man. I was really encouraged when you jumped at the opportunity to take on this topic. At first, I was going to try to find some lead instructor with a region and all that stuff, but I think it's better to get that firsthand, still doing it in the right seat kind of perspective. So,
yeah,
I appreciate it.
I'm excited to talk about it. I like teaching people. I think I have like a knack for it, and I like doing things I'm good at, like most people. And so I enjoy doing that. Not to say that I'm like deserving of being a head instructor, or that there are people who don't know more than me, or that maybe I even deserve to be here talking about this. But at the same time, it's like, I love doing it. I like helping people. I think it's the most useful thing that anyone can do, is to like basically leverage their utility onto another person. It's really unique. So
yeah, it's a daunting task, and so to take that challenge on and to really enjoy the challenge, I think that's good. That's amazing. That speaks volumes of you. There's lots of reasons people become instructors. I'm personally contemplating it. So after our podcast about budgets, I think it was the fourth one. It was in the first group that was released back in January.
Mm-hmm.
I really started thinking. At the rate I was burning tires down, I'd like to save money, but I'd still like to do practice days. And so that's sort of a motivator for me. But like you said, I'm sure that's a motivation for you. I think there's lots of reasons and motivations surrounding funds that people become instructors. But that shouldn't be the only reason. And your love of teaching and sharing what your knowledge is a good reason, in my opinion. What other kind of reasons do you think folks become instructors?
Well, I mean, it's funny because when I first became an instructor, I had wanted to be an instructor for a little while, and I focused on racing in 2018. And when I talked to Brett Emmons, who brought me into NASA Northeast, he was like, yeah, you should wait a year because you're a little immature. I was like, okay. And when I first started doing it, I would say that the primary motivation probably was saving money, probably saving on entry fees and being able to test the car and not spend money on it. But after having done it for about 4 years now, since 2019, I have learned to appreciate different aspects of it, because it's just more people who sort of like serve as a mirror into myself and basically show me the positive qualities that I have, even when they're not easy students. So like next year after championships, I want to take a break from racing, and I would probably prefer to just instruct. Like I might bring my daily driver out to some events and track that. And it's because I want to give back a little bit. I think I used to say I want to give back, and I was probably like secretly a little bit selfish. But now, after seeing the merits of teaching people and helping people, but then also the benefits you get seeing things from the right seat that you wouldn't otherwise see, is pretty cool. It's just like, I guess I used to be so OCD on competing and stuff, and now I'm just like more about having fun and a little more relaxed, although I'm still OCD. But it kind of helped
Yeah,
me.
I'm going to call shenanigans on that because I know you're making a push this year.
Yeah, well, definitely. But I mean, like, I also am a lot more calm this year than I've ever been. And so, like, the instructing is, there have been times that have been really tough for me at the track, and I've had to put myself and my needs and my car aside so that I could service the customer, who is the student. So.
Yeah, so let's talk about that a little bit because as the instructor, if you want to become an instructor, you need to realize that you are the customer service rep. You are the expert that student is leaning on, and you're the forward face of the organization. And you need to be very aware of that at all times. And we're going to get to this, but your car is not the priority in any of the situations.
I
Whether
agree.
you're doing it with NASA or track days or anything, your student is the priority. So in my case, I would love to become an instructor and use it to do test days. I cannot do full blown test days. I can put a part or two on there, whatever, and then go out and do some testing, but my priority is not my testing. And I think people need to realize that as instructors. Your priority is not you. It's no longer you. You're essentially an employee of the organization.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I guess what really helped me to have a good basis for becoming an instructor was I saw, as a less mature young adult, people around me who were positive influences, despite the fact that they were all psychos that drive cars at full tilt. So I started volunteering with NASA Northeast because Joe and Susan run a really good volunteer program, and I was volunteering in 2016, and I kind of came up around all of the instructors. And so that's how I learned about that whole customer facing attitude, how you have to cater to people as if you're a representative for the organization. So I've been, quote unquote, working at the track for the whole time I've been at the track. Even when I was at Track Night in America, I would skip class in college. I had an RSX Type S, and I would go to a Track Night in America, and I was an ambassador, quote unquote, and I would basically sell coupon codes to people for the SCCA, and then I would get free track days for that. So I've been working to race and drive since like 2014, 2015, and with NASA since like 2016. So yeah, it wears you out, but like you get used to it. I kind of couldn't picture it any other way. Weirdly, maybe if I was rich, I would think differently, but I don't know. Weird.
Yeah, rich in quotation marks, because no one's racing without having expendable income. So
we're yeah, right. I mean, of course. I mean, I meant like, a millionaire racing a Civic, right? Like that's like a rich, or like if you're a billionaire racing a Porsche, like that's rich, so it's all relative. But yeah, no, I'm very,
yeah, it's all right.
So I'm, yeah.
As we talked about in our previous podcast, everybody's got a budget. It's just a different size, right?
Exactly.
And your motivations, everybody's motivations will be different to become an instructor and while they're instructing. And so you just need to be cognizant of that. Now, I'm soul searching. This is a selfish podcast. I'm soul searching to really think if I should become an instructor. Part of me says I'm not a good enough racer to even become an instructor.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still learning a lot. I'm still doing a lot. I can run the party line like it's going out of style. Okay, my instructors did a very good job beating that into my head. I have a personal train of thought that says generally HPDE does not necessarily prepare you to race. because we don't encourage people to explore car control. And that's a huge thing for me. Being in the right seat, I understand where the instructors are coming from, right? I don't want you exploring how you control your car with me in the right seat. You know, I want you to learn the line. I want you to learn certain techniques, but not the car control one. And when we start going 10 tenths door to door, car control becomes a big issue. So this is all selfish for me. If nobody could get that from this, I'm still trying to figure out whether I want to pull the trigger or not. And part of it is, I'm not sure the attributes you should have as an instructor or the skill sets you should seek out when you're becoming an instructor to make sure that the students are going to get everything they necessarily need to get.
Yeah.
So what kind of, go ahead.
I think making sure the students get what they need is very, very student dependent. So my last student that I had at the track day from hell that you might have seen on my blog, he said the first thing when I got in his car was he said, "Can you push my car? I want to see you push my car, because my instructor the other day didn't really push my car, and I want to see what my car can do." And I said, "Okay, I'll take your car out 7 or 8 tenths, and then, I'll hand it back over to you." It was an Integra with a Type R swap. Then he says, "Okay." I said, "So what are your goals today?" He says, I want to go fast. He said, "I want to push it." I said, "Okay, hey, well, that's what we're doing, So, I mean, some students are like that, like they're gung ho. And those are the hard students, because they are the ones that are going to make you want to use the bathroom in the right seat. Then there are students who are like we have a lot of intro to HPDE students with the Toyota GR program. By the way, Toyota is an amazing manufacturer. I love Toyota. They have this program, and basically
except the engine warranty claims. So
yeah, that's true. I mean, well, actually they've covered one that I know of, but I don't. Yeah. Anyway, so the GR program, they give you a free track day if you buy a GR car. It's like a GR Corolla, GR86. So those people will come in, and some of them just want a car that looks cool. And they'll be like, "Yeah, I don't even know what I'm doing here." Like, some people come here and they come to events and they think they're showing up for a car meet. So it really varies, so if you're worried about not pushing a student because you want to be safe in terms of car control in the right seat, for example, it depends on the student you're with, right? Like, so I was talking to my friend Emmanuel, who's an instructor with NASA Northeast as well, last night, and he has a really interesting technique for teaching people how to approach the limits of car control. So when the track is free and there's nobody around, he'll tell them to slam on their brakes on the front straight as hard as they can. Or if there's no one around and it's a low risk corner, he'll say, "I want you to floor it," or I want you to do something. So the car, and what happens is they'll end up experiencing like oversteer, understeer, and then it's in a low consequence area. So he'll be like, "Okay, that's what the car does." And my approach has always been, so like if a student is really aggressive, I will be pulling them back over and over and over again. But if they are really timid in terms of car control, what I'll do is eventually I'll reach a point where if they keep making a mistake where they're turning the wheel too tight over a crest, for example, I know they're going to get loose. At a certain point, I'm not going to say anything. Like, if the car has traction control, it's slow, right? Like a GR86, for example, and they're going to oversteer and the car is going to catch it and they're going to freak the hell out. And I'm going to be like, "That's what happens." And then I give them the conversation about how your hands and your feet are tied together. So, people learn really well by making mistakes. It's like psychologically one of the best ways to learn is to make mistakes. And so that's kind of how I handle it. And I think there's pros and cons to it.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys are controlling when they make the mistake, though. So I think that's appropriate. Shout out to my favorite HPDE 1 and 2 instructor, in NASA Mid-Atlantic, Scott Blair, he was really big on setting a goal for every time we set out. I don't know if he does that to help control or focus the student. I won't say control, but focus the student. Instead of being like, oh, I want to go full tilt boogie, it's I want to perfect turn one, or I want to go faster in the chute at summit point, or I want to go flat up the S's at VIR, or wherever we are. Like, what one goal for that session. He won't let you slack off on the traditional lines. He won't let you slack off too much under braking and things like that. Mm-hmm. But, one thing he did with me was before we got to whatever section we were working on, he's like, okay, what are we going to do? Whatever short straight or straightaway there was before then, So I think that's a great technique that he did. He never did the whole, like, let's get loose thing or let's get, I think it's hard in HPD one because it feels like a pain train. I mean, I watch it and I'm just like, oh, they're all nose to tail and there's no free space for those guys. But if they have space, I don't see why there wouldn't be an issue doing that. But.
Yeah, the goal setting thing is something we do in the Northeast too. It's probably like a national NASA practice. I'm not really sure though. I know Mid Atlantic has good instructors. Like Scott Blair is a really good driver. He probably doesn't even know me, but like I saw him racing GTS2 when I was doing HPDE, and I was like, wow, that guy's a beast. Yeah. But yeah, like we do the same thing. So I'll have a student that'll say, I want to go balls to the wall. And then I'll have a student that says, I just don't want to die. And it's my job to sort of go out that first session and say, where are your weaknesses and what can we do to improve there? I always just try to be cognizant of their mental capacity, right? Because like when I was first an instructor, I was like, there's this bug flying in front of my face. It's driving me nuts. All right. I swear I'm not.
You're good.
I swear. I killed it. I got it.
Aren't you in New Jersey?
I mean, Jersey is dirty. They call it dirty,
right?
Jersey. Yeah, dirty Jersey. I'm not representing Jersey though. I don't just live here, right?
Right.
Yeah. Sorry to all the people from Jersey. But yeah, I basically set goals too. So I used to, when I first started instructing, I would be like just overloading people, like slow down here, speed up here, turn here, you're offline, blah, blah. And I realized and this might sound kind of blasé or laissez-faire to a lot of people, but like people are going to make mistakes and they're novices and they really don't know what they're doing. So like they're never going to be perfect for the first day or the second day. And if they are, they're God, or they're like, they've done karting or motocross before or something. And so
right.
I'll be, we'll go out and they'll miss turn 2 1,000 times, but like I'll be like, that was fast enough and okay enough that it doesn't really bother me, and I'll set goals based on what's really bad for that session. So like I had a girl I was instructing, and she was afraid to go over 65 miles an hour in the front straight, and so eventually I was just, no, it was fun. Like I students that listen and are that and drive slowly are more fun to instruct than students that don't listen and drive really fast. Because students that don't listen and drive really fast can hurt you. So like she was like a great student, and so like she, by the end of the day, she was maxing out the rev limiter on the front straight, and but like she came back to an event, the most recent track day I was at. And we were in the rain, and she was really fast in the rain because she maintained the same speed that she was doing in the dry before.
Right.
So now she's in the rain, so she's passing GT350s, and I'm like, this is hilarious. I'm like, but then it dried up later in the day, and she starts pushing it, and it starts getting loose and stuff. And so that was when the goal setting went from, I want you to listen to me when I say lift. Until then, do not lift. The goal setting went from very simple stuff like let's get 100 miles an hour on the front straight to now let's talk about tying the hands to the feet, right? Like when you're turning in, your foot is coming off the throttle. When you're winding out, your foot is back on the throttle because they're tied together. And so the goal setting for me is just like based on what I see the student doing. Like if I see a weakness, I hone in on it and I try to minimize that, and then we move on. And for me, the goal setting is a really good way to qualitatively assess the progress. And then you write that in their notebook, in their passport, HPDE passport, and they can take that home and review that. Say, okay, I remember what happened that track day, you know?
Yeah. So something you mentioned earlier, um, and I think it's a skill set that a potential instructor needs to have or work on attaining or be cognizant of, is reading your student. So you were talking about, oh, I want to go all in, full tilt boogie, or like the last student you had, she didn't want to break 65. You need to understand the differences between those two types of people. And there's multiple types of people. Those aren't the only two, right? And you need to be able to read that student and then adjust your game plan, whatever that instructing game plan is, to bring them to the optimal level of learning and potentially to increase your safety out there. And I think that's absolutely important, but I think it's a skill that's going to get developed. And I can almost guarantee that every brand new HPDE1 student, most of those GR folks, they're going to be in shell shock. Like they're going to be overwhelmed. You know, you'll be lucky if they can figure out how to put the clutch in and brake. Like they're going to, if you go flying down the front straightaway, let's take the full tilt boogie guy. He's going and he's rowing the gears on his GR86 or I don't know, whatever, even the Corolla, right? The Supra. God forbid it's the Supra, right? Clicking shifty paddles all the way through, mashing that BMW engine to the floor, like just keep going, right? He's going to freak out. He could freak out. He or she, they, whatever. That student could freak out their first time around. So setting some boundaries may be helpful, but you need to read them early. And I think that's important.
Yeah, that's it's like psychology for me. I'm big on that. I'm more big on the psychology than I am on the technical stuff. So I had one student one time. I like to instruct with my hands. Like I like to use hand signals. They encourage us in the Northeast to have a communicator. To be honest with you, I still don't have one. It's mainly because I had one and it was a piece of crap, and I didn't want to spend over $100 on another one that probably also was a piece of crap. So I like to instruct with my hands. And I had one student who was very literal. And he was. I asked him what he did for a living, and he said he's a PhD. And he works in like cybersecurity, IT kind of stuff. And I was like, oh, okay. So like this guy
Ones and zeros, bud.
Yeah, this guy's very technical. So I had to change my instructor style to suit this guy who was not really so emotional as he was just relying on me to give him literal inputs. So I had to ensure that we had I have hand signals that I use repeatedly. I had to ensure he understood those very well, and then he was fine.
Right.
But like, yeah, I mean, the psychology thing is huge. The scariest ones are when students are like fatigued or when they're dehydrated. Those are scary. Like I've heard really scary stories. I've experienced really scary things. Those are the worst. Like when a student is dehydrated or tired or hasn't slept or hasn't eaten, that's scary. That's, to me, that's the worst. And you can't play psychologist there. You know, how do you I had one student last track weekend, and he was a challenging student, and he was like I want to he went out and he was hyper fixated. A car would get in front of him and he'd red mist to try and catch it, or a car would be behind us and he'd red mist to try and run away. And several times I had to yell at him to slow down. And when we got off track, I said, "Are you okay?" And he said, "Yeah, man, I'm just really tired." I said, "Did you get any sleep?" And he's like, "No." And I said, "Look, man," I said after the second session, I was like, "You need to go. It's lunchtime now." I said, "Go in your truck or go, go to Wawa and get coffee, or like get some sleep if you can, or eat something, because the way that you're performing now is going to lead us to have problems. Like this is dangerous, and yeah, it was a very challenging situation, but I think that fatigue is probably the hardest thing to deal with. Very hard.
Well, yeah, and so I talked to Carrie Rouse about health and fitness, and dehydration came up, and my wife and I do a lot of backpacking, so it's pretty important, the hydration part. But doing research for that episode, I came across several studies that were talking about 10 to 25% reaction time issues with only being like minorly dehydrated.
Yeah, so I love going to the gym, and I love working out. It's just fun to do. And in that, on to your point, so like if I go out for drinking with my friends the night before I go to the gym, or if I have 2 IPAs on my couch, right, and then I wake up in the morning, like late at night, and then I wake up in the morning and want to go to the gym. Sometimes I'll do balance exercises, mainly to strengthen like my core, or like also sometimes to strengthen my ankles and like the chain from the feet up, so to speak.
Right.
And I can notice a marked difference in coordination. It's like very, very noticeable. I mean, and also the sweating goes up, the heart rate is higher. You start measuring these metrics as an amateur athlete, someone who does it for a hobby, and it's like, holy crap, you realize how much your body needs sleep, needs rest, needs food. And that's why, dude, that's why RVs and enclosed trailers and hotels are such a big deal. You can sleep. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're in a tent, like, if you're tent lifing it, and your tent starts leaking in the middle of the night, well, guess what? You're sleeping in a wet tent, So it's like, yeah, but that's a sidetrack. I'm sorry, I'm just getting distracted. So.
No, you're good. I tent life it also. I see students who tent life it. They're trying to string together enough funds. So maybe if you're a current instructor, or even a prospective instructor, maybe you need to start talking to your students about that session one. Are you have you had caffeine today? Usually they're going to have coffee, Monster, Red Bull, something, right? Very few people are caffeine free these days. Okay, that's good. Now you're up. How many waters have you had before this session?
Yeah.
Right? Make sure you eat lunch. Just a reminder when you come off from session. That's important. I'm telling you, my wife and I go over it over and over again. This last event at Hyperfest, I was drinking enough, but I didn't have appetite, which is a sign of dehydration. But there was no way, because I was drinking enough water. Let's say.
I guess it depends on your
Thank God
salt.
I had a scooter, because I had to go to but at the same time, I wasn't keeping enough caloric intake for what was happening. So I had to sort of force myself apples, pears, bananas, like just something quick and easy that I could stuff into my face for blood sugar, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's nutritious. It's not like a Snickers bar, right? So, but if you're an instructor, maybe you need to go, oh, I only need 18 waters for myself this weekend. Well, if it's a 24 case, maybe you need to make sure that your students have enough water. I know it's not your responsibility to bring them water, But if it looks like they're not that well prepared, maybe you can help them out until they can get done with the first day and get themselves to a Wawa or a Sheetz or a Buc-ee's or wherever you guys are in the country to get themselves better situated. So
Yeah, I think when I was
it can be important.
when I initially started instructing, I would ask all of the sort of textbook questions because I was trained to do that. And, now that I'm like, I would say an intermediate instructor, I'm not really an advanced instructor. I would say like, I look back on that, Dylan, and I'm like, that guy was annoying. Like he would be like, yo, did you drink water? Okay, make sure you drink water. Or like, did you torque your wheel lug nuts and blah, blah. But like, all that stuff's important. So
Those two questions are equally important when you're on
yeah,
track.
but like, I guess the compromise between being like a type A stickler and asking questions completely without reading a situation or out of context for the sake of asking them because you're told to by procedure, the compromise between that and being totally blasé and laissez-faire is probably a contextualized step-by-step questioning approach, right? So like now when I go to my students, I typically just make small talk with them, right? And I'm pretty good at reading people. So this is just a strength of mine. So anybody listening who's not good at reading people, or if you know this isn't a strength of yours, maybe this won't work for you, but for me it works. What I'll do is I'll just be like, hey, what's up? And I kind of like ask them about their day, ask them how it was getting here, ask them if they're excited, ask them a little about their car, talk about their car, and they'll ask about mine. We make conversation, right? And like you can really quickly get a gauge on whether a person is type A, type B, attentive, lax, whether they're tense, whether they're relaxed, whether they are high on the IQ spectrum, whether they're low on the IQ spectrum, whether they're emotionally intelligent, whether they're book smart. And you can get a pretty quick view on that. And based on the personalities, you can kind of like get to where you need to go in terms of like, so like, for example, if a student that I have is like, looks like they don't really take care of themselves, might be a little bit out of shape, for example, right? Chances are they're probably not thinking too much or worried about water intake and taking in potassium and sodium so that their salt channels are functioning properly and they're hydrated. They're probably not worried about those things. They're probably there because they're car enthusiasts, But like if someone is like super into fitness, right? Like, okay, they might show up and they might be super into fitness and well rested, but then it's like, did you torque your lug nuts? What are your tire pressures? And they don't know, So that's how I approach it now. I used to do, it's cumbersome because like I was in the mentor school, we were mentoring the instructors for Northeast, and they were like, and remember ask this, and remember do that, and remember think this, and remember pray this, and it was just like a lot of stuff, and it's hard to remember and do it all. And so now I try to sort of go based off of a contextualized step-by-step approach, and it's been pretty decent for the most part. So yeah, a little more lax, but yeah.
But so far, to me, the two biggest qualities in conversation that I think we've come up with is being able to read or understand people, and then being fluid enough to adapt to that person.
Yeah, man, I think you got. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you still. Your mic changed, but I can still hear you.
Okay, let me see if yeah. So, that's weird. All right, well, as long as you can hear me, I guess that's fine. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
All right, cool. So, I forget what I was gonna say. What were we talking about?
The fact that folks need to be able to read people and then be fluid to adapt to those people.
Yes,
and those are the two biggest takeaways so far.
So you asked me what should a person have to be a good instructor. I would say one of the biggest things is you got to have patience and you got to like people. I have friends that are great drivers, really smart coworkers, really great colleagues in school, amazing family members and friends, but like they don't like people. And so like I know racers that like are very talented, or like people that know how to teach and know about driving, but they don't have the patience, or they don't like people enough to sit around and deal with the shenanigans you're going to run into instructing someone who ranges from like the chill, relaxed person who knows nothing about cars to the person who thinks they're Michael Schumacher, driving a Porsche at 4/10 pace, right? So you have to be really, really willing to listen and be patient, and you have to appreciate different perspectives in people, even if you don't agree with them. That's like one of the biggest things, I think.
Yeah. It's such a great responsibility to be an instructor. And I think when not we, because I'm not one, when you instructors are out there, you guys are the superheroes. You're the ambassadors. You're the guys that are the folks, not guys, folks. I'm still working on that, everybody.
It's okay. It's okay. I know what you meant.
You guys are the ambassadors, and you are going to be able to either help somebody realize that this is something they want to do, something they will need to change their life to continue doing, because we all change our lifestyle to make this habit keep going. We're not filthy rich, but we have enough expendable income to do it, and we always find more ways to get more expendable income to keep doing it and to do it a little more, right?
Mm-hmm.
A little more fancy, right? But you're also going to be that person that's going to show somebody that they aren't ready for this. They aren't ready to be on track. Okay? You're going to have highs. Most of it's highs, right? How many times has one of your students been like, I just can't do this anymore? Have you had that happen before?
I've had, I mean, I had a really challenging weekend with a student recently. It was very, very challenging. But no, I mean, I would say I've had some students who have left early or have gone home. They've never said, I'm never doing this again. I've had some students that were like a little low on talent. Maybe they wanted to treat the hobby as the hobby or something fun. I think that, I basically try to do a good job of, I don't cater to my wants for the student. I cater to their needs. So if I talk to them and they're like, yeah, I've owned a Volkswagen GTI and Mark IV, and I've owned a Civic, Civic SI,
Oh,
and blah, blah,
sorry.
blah. I'm like, dude, like, yeah, right. Like, I'm like, dude, like, cool. Like, you like cars. Like, let's make this a thing. Like, let's make this part of your life. And some people just are like, yeah, I'm just trying this out. I'm like, all right, cool. And then, but I never push it on them. Like, dude, and even sometimes I'll have people that'll be like, I watch Honda Challenge races and I want to come race Honda Challenge. And I'm like, really? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, why? And then they're like,
No, you should just be like, yes, come
dude,
with us.
Well, I mean, we had I was in the first event of the season with NASA Northeast, and our head instructor Jordan Levitt was like, "We're thinking of getting more racers to instruct," and I started shaking my head like violently, like vehemently. I was like, "Don't do that." No, I advocate against myself quite a lot.
Well,
but it's comedic, so it's okay. Yeah.
Region by region, that varies, right? So some regions you can be a racer and instructor at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It's slowly fading off of the spectrum, let's say, because like we talked about earlier, the racer will put his race car as a priority over his student.
Right.
And that's happened too many times in certain regions, and so they don't allow that to occur anymore. And that's kind of sad, but it happens. I understand why it happens as a racer who frantically ran around Hyperfest looking for a vehicle speed sensor basically all day,
We got to
only
talk
to
about
find
that.
one.
I don't know what happened there. You just published that episode. Right?
Oh, yeah. So you have to hit up the Hyperfest recap episode to see what happened there. But essentially, I ran around. I knew where there was a good VSS. It was right across the paddock from me. My buddy Adam, 00 Civic, he runs the same trans that I do. He had one, but on Saturday, his sessions were butted right up against my session, so there was no chance to hot swap because NASA does roll on, roll off.
Oh wow!
But Sunday, it was Group 3, which he's in, then Group 2, then my race group. So we had one session where he would come off. We would jack up his car. Well, actually, his car didn't. You could reach it from the top because swapped cars are easier to reach on. And then we would just pull it out of his car. My car would be jacked up on one side. I'd slide underneath. It's a clip and one 10mm bolt, right? It's not the end of the world. But when you're in the suit and stuff, things get a little frantic,
I
So that's what happened.
I don't know that I could ever instruct and race. Like I don't even think, like, honestly, like, dude, I don't know. It's so easy to say selfish things or want selfish things, and then when you get the selfish thing, you're like, I don't want this anymore. Like it's so easy to be like, yeah, I want to race and instruct because it's free. But have you ever instructed and tested a race car? That is oh my god! Like, that's all I do is I instruct and I test my race car. So I'm taking notes. I'm adjusting alignment settings. I'm adjusting ride height. I'm changing parts. And it's like like, even a good day where everything is going well. Actually, no, a good day is fine. But like, if it's like a medium rare type day, like if it's like a medium day, even a medium day, like where it's like, oh, I had a I don't know, I had to change an axle, right? Like, those are tough days. It's really, really hard. Like, I had one event, I was instructing.
So let me interrupt you. Medium rare is proper. Medium is terrible.
Okay,
maybe it's semi-acceptable, and then well done is a terrible day.
Okay, so
since you went
whatever
down that road.
the medium day is, the non, like, medium, not in terms of stake, like in terms of like difficulty.
Okay.
Yeah, but I had one day where I was instructing my friend Sam. I forget her last name, but she drove she had the coolest car. She had it was a Cobalt Sport. It was a blue Cobalt Sport, and I think it was auto. And it might have been stick, I don't remember, but like, but it was like a stock Cobalt Sport. It wasn't even an SS. And I was testing my race car. I had just finished, so I had stayed up all night. I had just got my car running with a CAN bus module and a dash, running on an OEM OBD1 GSR ECU, and it was like my first event contracted for AEM to test the car so that I could advertise for them as a sponsor or as a sponsored person. And so I had no sleep, and like, I'm just completely burned out. And I had there was nothing, I did nothing wrong that day. Like, I was fine. But like, towards the end of the day, towards the end of the weekend, they had the fun race and everyone was like, come out. And I was like, I can't, I don't have this, I don't have that. But I had my racing suit and all my gear, and finally they convinced me. So I was like, all right, I'll go out. So I had to draw some, fire logos and tow logos on my car on masking tape, and to be compliant with the rules. Everything else was legal. And I went out in the fun race, and I was following my buddy Lee, and he was driving pretty aggressive, and I was like, all right, like, I'm backing out. And then I come into the lightning bulb at the light bulb at Lightning, and I come in on the inside of him, and I'm like, I got you, MF. And then he touches the grass on the outside, and we make contact. and the whole side of that was when my quarter panel got really messed up. It was the second time my quarter panel got really messed up. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God. And I drove the car in, and the tire was messed up and the quarter panel was messed up. And I was dollying my car to the track at the time. So I was like, how am I going to get this home? And then it's like, all right, DE1 is up in 20 minutes. And I'm like, all right, it's time to take my racer hat off and go put my instructor hat on. And we did well in that next session. I kind of had to, you have to leave home at home and bring work to work, so to speak. And I did well with my student, but that's kind of what I'm saying. Like, I don't know how people would race and instruct at the same time. Like, imagine if that was a points race and I was going for championships that year. Like, I don't know if I could help a customer, it's wild.
Right. That's the struggle. Yeah. We as racers have different motivations on a weekend than a student does.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where the disparity comes. So I don't get upset when people are like, oh, well, I'm an instructor, but they won't let me instruct this weekend because I'm racing. There's a reason for it. Maybe your circumstances are different for that weekend, whatever. Maybe things play out better for you, but in general, it's probably not a good idea. That doesn't mean as a racer, you're not.
What we typically do in the Northeast is if, and this is just me and my friends in Honda Challenge, I'm not speaking for all of Northeast, but we'll, in Honda Challenge, if, like I have a lot of students that, ask me, they re-request me, like they'll be like, I want Dillion again. Or like people will follow me on Instagram and be like, I want that guy. So like I'll get requests from people, and I'll be like, I'm sorry, I'm racing, dude. But if you want me to hop in your seat at the end of the day, after I'm done racing, sure, come grab me, and I'll go and I'll talk to Sue or Joe, or I'll talk to one of the head instructors and I'll say, hey, I want to hop in this car. I'm done racing for the day. And then we're good. But I never do it. Dude, if I'm in the middle of like qualifying or practice even, no, there's no way. It's all racing or it's all instructing. It's never racing and instructing. Yeah, it's too much.
As a former chronic HPDE kid who wanted instruction all the time,
yeah,
I was happy to be signed off solo so I could go find other opinions.
Yeah.
And I think if you have the credentials and like you said, the time, you'll be valuable as another opinion.
I
maybe not.
It's very hard to find that student. It's very hard to like, I used to be that student. I went to every single track day for NASA in 2017. And I did all of the Track Night in America days at NJMP. And I did Track Night in America in Pocono, and I did NASA at Summit. I was just like hooked. And I would ask every single instructor to come in my car, Miata instructors, Honda instructors, Corvette instructors. And it was, that's how I learned how to instruct, as I had a bunch of different people with me, so I have Brett Emmons who drives a Corvette hop in my car, or I'd have Dan Koch who drives a BMW hop in my car, or Jan Wang who used to drive an H2 Civic. Or I'd send video to Jackie and she'd be like, oh, blah, blah. And yeah, that was one of the biggest. It's hard to find people like that. Like people like that are people like you and me, and they end up racing. You know what I mean? That's what happens.
Right. But those are the people that you have contact with on Instagram, YouTube, whatever. And those are the people, as a racer, I want to be available to, right? So that's kind of one of my motivations.
I just, for me, like, it's good enough just helping people feel good. Like I had one student and she was very, it was the same student who didn't want to go over 65. She was just very not confident in herself as a human, and I could see that. And I was like, look, like, can you still hear me?
Oh yeah.
Okay, my screensaver came on, but she was she wasn't confident as a human. Like it had nothing to do with driving, and had nothing to do with bringing another person into the sport or getting another colleague to race with, or inspiring someone to be a great driver. It was just like we had a moment where I came off the track and I was like, listen, I was like, I can see you're shaken up right now. Like, I can see that you're not feeling well. Like, I can see like your hands are shaking, and you're kind of like looking around a lot, and you're kind of like going, when I'm talking to you. And I know you're nervous, but I want you to know that everything is going to be okay if you listen to me, which you're doing. And B, you need to have confidence in yourself, because you've been taking every single goal I've set for you every session, and you've been doing it. So believe in yourself. You do that, and it's amazing, and we're going to keep doing that, and you're going to keep getting better. And guess what? She did. So I don't even need to find a person who's like, dude, I want to race Honda Challenge or spec Miata, cool, blah, blah. Like, I just want someone who wants to work to learn. That's really all I want. Just someone who wants to learn. That's all I care about, you know?
Yeah. So for all you HPDE students out there who are listening, just be receptive and take instruction. And if you have confidence in your instructors, which you should, because they are tested, they have lots of track time, and there's always something to learn from them, you will learn more the more open you are to what they have to say and where they tell you to go, how they tell you to do it. It's this part of the game. You're a student again. And if you want to be an instructor one day, you need to understand that you're about to be the teacher. And that requires the ultimate flexibility and awareness. Sort of try to wrap this up a little bit. What type of person do you think shouldn't be an instructor?
Shouldn't? Someone who's not patient. Someone who is not patient. Someone who doesn't like people. It's easy to name out the obvious ones, like, oh, someone who's a dick, or like someone who sucks at driving. Like, well, yeah, duh. Or like someone who sucks at teaching, duh. But like, the more subtle ones are harder to weed out. You need to be patient, for sure. You need to be patient, because whether it's you being patient with a student that's having trouble with the same single corner all day, or it's you being patient.
That's been me as a HPDE driver. I've sucked at a corner all day.
Hey man, I've been racing since 2018, and I still have trouble with some corners. I'm still working on my braking. I mean, if you watch my videos, it's easy to study. You can study. I study all the racers I race against. I watch all their videos, and it's the same. You never are perfect. So, it's, you have to be patient as an instructor. You have to be really patient. And if you're not a patient person, if you're highly type A, if you're highly specific about what you want out of people and in interactions, if you're not flexible, if you're not willing to take a little bit of risk, those are all things that you need to have as an instructor. Like that, those are big. If you the risk thing, we didn't really touch on. But like, if you,
let's talk about it a little bit.
Yeah. If you have a student and they are going around one corner and they are doing it well, and they do it again and they do it well, and they do it again, they do it well, and the tolerance of within their exhibited performance is acceptable to your standards, you as an instructor have to be willing to take a risk to say, I trust this person enough to go a little bit faster. And you can communicate that with them, right? Like, so-and-so, I noticed that you were going 7/10 around turn 1 several times, and you did it perfectly several times. Let's go 8/10, right? And I'm not saying the result's going to be good. Trust me, the result might be very bad, but you have to be willing to take risks, because that's how you learn. You push the boundaries within limits. You set incremental steps, and then you push the boundaries little by little. So you have to be. If you're not willing to take risks as an instructor, my opinion is that you should reconsider your teaching style. It's not the end all be all, but it's a thing. Like I know people who may not be the fastest drivers, who don't really take a lot of risks, but they're very good at teaching as an instructor because they get people off of their feet as an intro driver. That's fine, so, but I'm not saying that not having or being like, I'm not saying that if you're not patient, but you're everything else, or if you don't take risks, but you're everything else, you shouldn't be an instructor. I'm saying those are things that, like, if you are not patient, if you don't like risks, if you don't like people, if you have multiple of those traits that satisfy the not good for instructor criterion, then yeah, consider other paths.
So there's also inherent risk in general. We race, we track our cars, whatever part you are in being on track is risky, right? Being in the right seat is also risky.
Mm-hmm.
Dylan, I'm going to implore you we're going to figure out a way to get you an affordable comm set, even if it's not your primary mode of communication. Maybe.
No, I'm working on it. I've never needed one until this last track day because the car was loud and the student was not super receptive. And that's
yeah. You could never instruct me in my car because I can't hear anything.
I mean, most cars, even like I've instructed gutted cars before with no comm, and it was fine. But like the first time I've had my first, after like, I've been instructing since 19, and after 21, 2, 3, after about 3.5 years, let's call it 3.5 years. I found
Stupid
my
vid.
first time where I needed a comm. So I am looking into that. I want a comm that doubles as a comm for racing. So maybe that means getting a new helmet that can do comms, because my helmet is the cheapest HJC you can buy, and it's from 2018.
Word up, me too.
Yeah, and I also drew all over it. But yeah,
me too.
You did? You drew all over your helmet?
Yeah, mine was black. I painted it white, and then I started Sharpieing all over it.
That's cool.
For my homies.
That's cool. Yeah. The
only thing I left was the date of certification. That was on the back.
You. Mine's on the inside. But yeah, I used a whiteout pen and I drew all over mine. So, but yeah, I'm gonna get a comm for sure. That's gonna happen. So I'm not instructing at this weekend, but I am gonna be instructing after. So I'm definitely buying a comm, and that's just because I found out the way I work, me being budget oriented, quote unquote, because I do spend on some baller shit for my car. Let's be real.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, like
you aren't really the cheapest man anymore. You're just the most cognizant budgetary person right now.
My philosophy with this hobby is don't buy it until you know you need it, and I discovered that I needed it. It was just because I couldn't I was having trouble getting through to the student to an extent. It was like I had to yell multiple times, and I think that if I were to just be able to calmly talk to him like, dude, you are messing up, instead of yelling, right? Like, it would have been much more effective. Not, dude, you're messing up, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, no, I understand. You're not yelling at him, you're messing up, but you're trying to provide constructive correction to make sure everyone is safe.
Right.
On that, go ahead.
No, definitely not. No, I'm rambling. You're good.
So on that, I want to implore you and anyone who's a prospective instructor to look at one of the hybrid systems for your head and neck restraint. I know it's expensive. I know you're going to have to flip a couple cars, Dylan. You got to part them out and do whatever.
Bro, I sold.
We wear our Hans for a reason.
I sold a crankshaft off of a D16Y7 for $200 gross.
Oof.
And then I sold a
Oh my
camshaft
goodness.
off of a D16Y7 for $60 gross. And then I sold a top and bottom alternator bracket for a D16Y7 gross. And then I sold two cam caps, because I know people break them all the time, for $65
Right.
gross. Like, people buy
Oh my
really dumb
goodness.
stuff. So yeah, it helps.
Yeah.
For sure.
Hustle a little bit and get yourself a hybrid system. I know it's a pain in the butt, but you're probably not going to instruct and race in the same weekend, because we've talked about that. So it'd be something you would pack in your instructor kit, because I doubt you're riding around in your race suit in the right seat. But
No, if I stick around,
those cars generally don't.
If I stick around the area in 2024, which is likely given how life works, but also something that I might change given my passions and desires.
Are you moving to Virginia?
No, I was considering moving to another country. I was considering.
Okay.
I was considering consulting, probably in like enterprise resource planning or like preventive maintenance, because I've worked there before and I'm good at that stuff, and I like working with people. And I'm going to be finishing my MBA soon. But anyway, neither here nor there. If I stay in the area in 2024, which, like I said, is likely, I will be focusing primarily on instructing. So that would be like you said, hybrid, communicator. We're going to the track for fun. We're running scrubs. You know, we're running broken stuff. We're running old stuff. We don't have a program. You know, it's going to be about beers with friends, camping, cheap, just going to be fun. I'm going to, it's important. Yeah. We talked about this on the budget episode. It's important I talked about it on Garage Years and Training, actually. It's important to break up the hardness of racing with fun. It's important to have fun. So, yeah.
So let's segue on speaking of Garage Heroes and Training, I believe Bill will say you should not instruct your significant other. I'm pretty sure he said that to me.
Yeah.
Also,
I probably wouldn't do that.
Trust me, it causes problems. Also, if you sit in the right seat of a streetcar, say with your significant other, and have high anxiety, you probably shouldn't instruct a random stranger in the right seat. Confessions, that's sort of I don't worry about my wife. My wife, she's on a different level for driving. I don't worry about her, but randos, I get car sick in. Yeah, I just that's actually one of my personal struggles of whether I pull this trigger or not, and go to the school and commit resources and take up resources. Just because I enter the school doesn't mean somebody else shouldn't be in that seat before me to become an instructor. I literally get car sick when other people are driving. Not my wife, thank God.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. So Matt Bookbinder was my first instructor ever in HPDE 1, and he was a huge influence for me as to why I wanted to become an instructor, or why I wanted to race Honda Challenge as well. And he gets motion sickness now, and it's a thing. But in your situation, I would still encourage you to go to the school, just because there have been a lot of times where, like, you have helped me, believe it or not, like with stuff that you've talked about with gearing, or with the B18B1 stuff, or the Honda Challenge stuff when you were doing tech shed stuff. And I think it goes beyond that. I think you have a passion for talking about abstract concepts, like, the stuff that goes into being a good instructor. And that's important for instructing. You don't like, I have friends that are maybe like mid pack in terms of overall pace, in terms of racing. Like they're not freaking animals, but they are really, really patient people that are like fatherly or motherly figures. And they are really, really good at like basically being eloquent and using their words to convey concepts. And I think you'd be good at it. I think you'd be good at it.
So I catch a lot of flack for always saying that I'm a mid-pack guy. I define mid-pack as not on the podium. So 4 to whatever, that's where your mid-pack is, in my opinion. That doesn't mean these people aren't competitive. Doesn't mean these people don't know what they're doing. It just means they miss the podium. Some fourth places are very close to third place. Some places, fourth places are not. But
that's a whole different. I don't even.
That's a whole different.
Yeah, I don't. You're gonna make me rant again. I'm like, that's a whole. That's a thing.
It's a whole nother rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But a racer will see things differently. I had a podcast with Aldo about this. Shout out to Aldo, Zach, and the rest of the guys who are that I race with, that are Brian Mang, who are instructors who have made the transition to racing. It's a different mindset. They never looked at competition until it was time to be competitive, and they've had to change their outlook. And that's an important episode to go listen to, because if you're a racer, you need to understand what the instructor needs to think about first, not necessarily what you need to think about. So you need to be able to toggle that switch a little bit.
Very much so. Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, it's different. It's different. It's applicable and it's different. They're related. We're all on track together, but you need to know what that guy, gal, person can uptake versus what you're willing to offer them, how you're willing to offer it. It's very different. And it's important. And that's part of the be fluid, understand the person, be willing to adapt, change your style, ask for help, ask another instructor. I know you said you never had somebody walk away. I know the guys that I race with had somebody walk away before. They were like, this just isn't for me. And I think it actually took a toll on the instructor, because the instructor never had that happen before.
Yeah, it does get personal. You know, it's like, or maybe not personal, but it gets to be heartfelt. You know, you really get to, you attach yourself to making people succeed and helping them better themselves. And when something bad happens, or when they fail in a big manner, or they leave or something, dude, it's huge. It's like a heartbreak. It's like, you're like, oh my God, I wanted this person to do so well. And I think that's also probably part of what makes a good instructor, is someone who cares, someone who's invested. Like, it kind of goes without saying, but it also kind of doesn't, right? Because like, you have to picture yourself as being the type of person that when your student crashes, or when your student has a broken car, or when your student is crying, or when your student faints because they're dehydrated, like, you have to be
all that happens.
Yeah, you have to be willing to say like, oh my God, I feel like ass, and I really, really care, and I was hoping that, like, you have to care.
Yeah.
You know, like that's what I think that's going above and beyond. But I mean, that's the best instructors I've had have been that way. Like, they've given a crap, you know, and that means a lot. It means someone cares about you. So,
but when you invest that much into somebody and something occurs, if you're looking to become an instructor, you also need to build your own circle, because that's going to hurt you almost as much as it hurt the person that's walking away, had the accident, whatever occurred. Okay. Mm-hmm. So you also need to have your core. You need to have your instructor buddies or racer buddies, somebody who you can talk to, because you're going to need to vent too. If you're truly invested in the success of your student, which all instructors should be,
Right.
you're going to need that circle one day.
No,
And
trust
so you
me,
need to look for that.
I'm right there with you. Trust me.
Yeah. So it's a complex topic. I'm sure we could come back in a year and a half or whatever, when you're done with a whole year of basically just instructing and having a good time and not focusing on racing. And we could add more to this.
Yeah.
So it's complex.
Dude, I've said I can't wait till 2024 so many times already this year, and I've only done one race. Like, I can't wait.
Come on, man. You're looking at 2024, and you need to focus on 2023.
Heine's
going to be so disappointed in you.
All I focus on all day is 2023. That's why I keep saying I can't wait till 2024.
Yeah.
It's tiring.
So, do you have any saved rounds, tips, tricks, advice for anyone looking to be an instructor?
No,
Anything
I just
left?
want to. I mean, I think I've said it all, but I just want to thank all of the instructors that sort of came before me and influenced me. I definitely am not an expert instructor by any means. I really have a passion for people and teaching and learning as well. And this hobby is my passion. I think I'll always be involved in racing somehow, whether it's engineering, karting, driving a sedan like I'm doing now. But yeah, I just want to thank like the Casellas, and the people who got me into it, like Zephyr, Matt Bookbinder, Brett Emmons, and then the head instructors too, Jordan Levitt, Rick Myers. There's so many names, and that's part of my circle. Like you were talking about, those are the people. It's like something bad happens as an instructor or whatever. Like I talk to those people and I come to them heartfelt 110% of the time. I'm like, yo, I feel really bad, or yo, I feel really good. And they might agree with me or they might not, but that's my circle. That's the people so I just shout out to those people. Honestly, those are the people that are like the expert instructors in my mind. So I'm just a guy, just doing stuff.
We all are. Where can people find you if they need a passionate instructor in 2024?
Well, when I sell all my B Series stuff, I'm going to be buying a small island.
Shenanigans.
You can find me in the Caribbean. Have you follow me on Instagram. That's probably the easiest way to get to me. I won't leave you on red, and if I do, then shame on me. But yeah, it's EJ2 Track Rat. So, viva la rat.
And if he leaves you unread, hit up at the Blind Apex podcast, and I'll harass him until he answers you.
Yeah.
If you like what you hear, rate and review the podcast. I think that's a wrap, buddy. I appreciate you coming on. This is a intricate, could be longer topic that is fluid and changing. So
after we spent 8 hours mentoring the new instructors on Friday last weekend, yeah, trust me, it can go a long time.
It can go a long time.
Oh, God.
So I appreciate your insight, man. As always, you're always welcome on the podcast.
Cool.
Thanks for being so eager to come on and talk about this topic, because I think it's important. It's personally selfish, but it's important for those folks in HPDE or a racer who's looking to save a little bit of money to really evaluate how they want to become, or if they want to become an instructor. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. No, I appreciate you having me.
Until next time, keep working on yourself, keep working on the car, and let's get faster.